Here we go again with our
Dead!
Here we go again with our dead.
That's right, guys. This is a patron-only video. If you are watching this video and you are not a Patreon subscriber, you are violating the Constitution, the Emoluments Clause. I don't even know what that is, but you are violating it. And you will be getting a swift call from my lawyer, who I don't have one yet, but I did see a bus go by and it had an ad for one.
Strip loin steak, that's
So you wake up in the morning, what do you have for breakfast?
Strip loin.
What do you have for lunch?
Strip loin.
What do you have for dinner?
Sometimes strip loin in soup.
Oh my God.
And dinner, same?
Yeah.
So you have 3 steaks a day? That's it.
Yeah. I would change it. I would change it if I could, but
Okay, great, guys. Today we're covering, that's right, the daily
Adult babies.
This has been laughed at and covered ad nauseum. The all meat diet of the Petersons, America's / Canada's favorite family, model family, the Petersons, the Peterbones. We kind of get it, right? But when you hear it like this, I eat 3 steaks a day, and that's all I've eaten for 6 years. You're like, that's okay. That is insane. That is insane. But it's weird compared to an American junk food diet, like a processed food diet. You know, if you have a Sour Patch based diet, yeah, 3 steaks a day is probably a step up. That's true. But I kind of looked into this. I was like, just give us some real, because she's saying scientists, some of them know, some of them don't know. It's, you know, I'm doing my own thing because scientists can't be trusted kind of crap. And I was just like, let me look around and let me just get the facts. Like, give me the facts of why eating 3 steaks a day is bad. And it's obviously bad. It's obviously bad. I mean, just do a cursory little look and it will instantly prove this is bad. And then it's healthier than the Airhead diet, but it's got to be another extreme. My social media diet has to be another extreme. Also, I hate to have to ask this, but what's the
Toilets.
situation with old Michaela? You eat all that meat. We actually have a recording of it. This is the bathroom situation. Like, there's that blood guy, you know, the guy who's taking blood from his son.
At Blueprint, we have evaluated hundreds of longevity therapies, and I thought it would be pretty epic if my son, my father, and I completed the world's first multi-generational plasma exchange.
Yeah, that guy's like a tech weirdo and all this stuff, but here's the controversial thing. The claim that guy's making is like, I spent millions of dollars. I'm a tech weirdo billionaire, and I have all this money, and I spent all this money to find out what's the perfect diet.
I started Project Blueprint, and the objective of this was to measure every organ of my body and then ask it what it needs to be in ideal health. What you see here in front of me, this food, is the diet that has produced near perfect biomarkers. When I wake in the morning, this is the green giant, which has collagen peptides, cinnamon, creatine, amino acids, and I take around 60 pills.
Okay.
I'll work out for an hour.
What's the perfect diet? What do I have to do to reverse the aging process so I can go back to being a little kid? I think that's what that blood guy's trying to do. He's trying to Benjamin Button himself.
I'm trying to reverse aging to the point where I'm a baby again.
That's his stated goal. He wants to do this in his dipes. He did say that. But if you spent a bunch of money and you can show us proof, you could show us evidence, like every morning you should drink a chlorella and whatever, cinnamon drink. And then you can show us, like, well, here are the results. I have some results. I spent a bunch of money trying to figure this out. Here's my results. Then it's like, okay, well, this guy's kind of a kook, but at least he's showing us some proof. With Michaela, there's none of that. It's just like, I eat 3 steaks a day, and it's good because I'm having a good time, and it's good. And that's pretty much.
But yeah, Michaela Peterson, definitely one of the daily weirdos.
And now we got to check in with one of the top daily weirdos. Her dad. What's the guy's name? Jorday Q. Pinkerton. Oh, holy Christ. Holy Christ with this guy on Twitter. Let's check Jordy's. Let's do a Jordy Twitter check. Here's a Jordy, what is it, an X? Here's a Jordy X from a couple days ago. I will not wear your bloody mask. I do not care for that task. Oh, wow. Okay, all right. Just from a rhyming perspective. Come on, Jordy. Let's put a little work into these X's. You cannot scare me with your fears or try to shame me with your tears. Okay. Fears and tears. Never been done.
Never been done before.
You cannot scare me with your fears. I'll just go and listen to Tears for Fears. He should have done that. I will not fasten to my face or put I will not fasten to my face or put your rules back into place. Oh, whoa. Whoa, we're getting a little intense there. We're getting a little... Yeah, I'm starting to get weird feelings about Jordy Peterson. I'm starting to get weird... No, not those kind of feelings. Not
CK Louis
type feelings. I think just somebody needs to go on his show and just do one of these. Just, it's not your fault. He's like, what? It's not your fault. He's like, stop. It's not your fault. Somebody needs to Good Will Hunting Jordy, I think. I haven't watched Good Will Hunting in a long time, but I do remember that classic line from Good Will Hunting, which is,
generally speaking, Chinese people look Chinese.
Matt Damon said that to that guy in the bar, and he had nothing to say back about it.
These values are cool.
Which ones?
They are meaningful.
Oh.
They are different. They are, today, heterodox.
Oh.
You want to stick it to the man? You want to be heterodox? You want to be countercultural?
I do.
Say you want to get married in a heterosexual relationship and bring kids into this world and teach them to believe in God and be patriotic and pledge allegiance to the flag.
Okay.
Yeah, that actually is pretty heterodox today. And so it's my job to reawaken that spirit. Okay?
That is my own sperm.
A crystal flute.
You're about to be value-tamed.
I mean, with this Vivek Ramaswamy guy, you know, it's just like...
What?
But I love that little opening part where he's like, you really want to stick it to the man? Have a kid and teach them to be religious and pledge allegiance to the flag. How do you stick it to the man? Pledge allegiance to the flag. It's like, what man are we sticking it to exactly with that? What man are we sticking it to if we don't have a kid? If we don't have a kid and don't teach them to be religious? Right now there's a lot of interesting reporting coming out about the writer's strike, you know? And you hear interviews with people who are striking and all this stuff, and it's very clear, like, who's the quote-unquote man and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, these people want more money, and there's CEOs, and there's these big companies that are, you know, making a ton of money, and they're like, you know how we can stick it to the man? By taking some of that money. That's a pretty clear cut who's the man, who's the average man kind of thing. I would like to ask Vivek some of these questions. Who's the man here? Who's the man telling you not to have a kid and pledge allegiance to the flag does seem a little... I pledge my allegiance. I'm 10 years old, but I will have allegiance. I mean, this guy really is so razor thin that it's kind of like, how is anybody... I mean, this guy has no chance with the presidency. It's a pure scam. It's a pure scam for him to sell books. By the way, he's written like 3 books in the past like 10 minutes.
I think that our voters today are hungry for depth, actually, in a way that they may have never been. And why do I say they may have never been?
Never? Not even?
For one day.
Oh, wow. Let's get a look at some of that Vivek depth real quick. This is him in what, Ohio at some crap? Check this out.
Loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's joking how everybody's joking now. The clock's run out, time's up, over, plow, snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity, oh, there goes gravity. Choke, he's so mad, but he won't give up that easy. Oh, he won't laugh, but he knows he's so bad.
I actually shouldn't have played that because I heard that song somewhere like a couple months ago, and I walked around for 2 months in my head going, whoops, there goes gravity, bope-a-dope dabbity, dope-a-dope cavity. Just absolute gibberish in my mind. And I stopped. I was like, I think I'm going insane. I think this is insane. I can't just walk around all day saying bope-a-dope dabbity.
I can't just walk around saying bope-a-dope dabbity all day.
There's an ordering. I am a self. That means something. I work hard and create something in the world, and I am proud of that, and I am an individual agent.
Okay.
Not riding some tectonic plate of group identity. But there's only ever one you, Dr. Peterson. There's only ever one me. There's only ever one anyone.
What?
And that there's inherent value as the individual. The same thing I'll say is that my first commitments are to my family. The children who I brought into this world, the wife with whom I am raising those children, the parents who brought me into this world.
Okay.
Those are my commitments.
This is why I love this guy, is that he's just a pure scammer. He is as pure a scammer as you could possibly find, and he's welcome in American politics. And it's interesting because he wants to be president and all this crap. And it's like, he's like, there's no depth. People are hungry for depth. So we could put that to a test in a very easy way. He's talking about like families. You know, I'm for families. I'm for families. I'm president. I'm for families and religion. And it's sort of like, okay, that's this layer. Let's go one layer down. What would you do for families? And the answer is absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Oh, I would make it harder. I mean, I'm a Republican. I would make it much harder. What I believe is that the family is the base unit of society. Now, even if my policies will obviously make it harder for every family in this country, you still gotta just do it. You know? Come on. That should be his pitch.
A new trend that's been written about in many media publications.
Let's hear about it.
It's called girl dinner.
Oh.
And here's the National Geographic report, because this is the kind of thing the National Geographic now concerns itself with.
Calm down.
Long gone are the days when you go to National Geographic to learn about a lost tribe in South American jungle somewhere.
All right.
Now you learn about the eating habits of 23-year-old women on TikTok.
You do? You pervert.
So here's what they say.
Okay, this is a pretty astounding segment here from Matt Make-A-Wish Foundation, where there's this thing on TikTok where people are talking about this thing called a girl dinner, which I watched a few of these, and it's basically just like, there's a few things in my refrigerator. I'm just going to kind of put them on a plate and I'll eat that, and that'll be my dinner because I don't have time to go to the store or order. So who cares? That's the thing about this. A, who knows? B, who cares? This is purely people using the internet in a way that it was designed to do, which is nonsense. Just,
The internet was made for just
making things up and just kind of trying to create a trend. And they're calling this girl dinner. Okay, so why is he talking about this obvious joke, this obvious TikTok joke? He's using it as a way to lead into something more serious. Here we go.
When it comes to doing something that people have been doing forever and pretending that you invented a hot new trend, nowhere is this more common than in the workplace. We've discussed several times in the past these alleged new workplace trends that are not new at all and are almost always just a version of being lazy.
Whoa.
Quiet quitting is one we've discussed. There have been others in that same vein. And now Business Insider has compiled, for whatever reason, the whole list. So we now have all of the workplace trends, quote unquote, that Gen Z has invented this year in one handy list. Putting aside how unfathomably cringy all of this is and how it's all just trying to make trends out of simply being a garden variety loser with no work ethic, the real point is that it grows from, as Business Insider says, anti-work sentiment. It's another to declare your laziness proudly, to participate in laziness like it's a valid life strategy.
Right.
And that's where we are now, especially with the younger generations.
Okay. I love this segment because it's like, this is something interesting. This idea of quiet quitting and all this crap. There's something interesting there. It's like the base of society and life, people's work and how people who work at companies interact with the employer and all. It's very interesting because it's real life. You know what I mean? And Matt Walsh makes it as uninteresting and as a shallow an analysis as you could possibly get, which is just like young people are lazy.
That's where we are now, especially with the younger generations. Okay.
He also doesn't even seem to know what this phrase, quiet quitting, even means. This is from CNN. It's about stopping doing work that people think is beyond what they were hired to do and not getting compensated for. So if we take that definition, there's no real laziness here. It's not laziness. What it could seem like is that younger people, if we assume it's just younger people, that younger people are actually they're still doing their jobs. They're still showing up. They're still doing their jobs, but they're questioning the relationship between them and their job, their employer, or whatever it is. And it does kind of seem like either Matt Walsh didn't do his homework on this one, what this actually means, or he just doesn't think people should question that. Why shouldn't they question that? I mean, why is that a taboo? What's going on here, man? Employees still excel at their jobs, but they aren't working overtime to do it, former engineering consultant blah, blah, blah told CNN. While I was in my 9-to-5 job, I was still working my 40 hours a week. I was still fulfilling my job duties. I was just taking away that feeling of stress, she said. Companies have pushed additional responsibilities on employees because some organizations were unprepared for the pandemic and great resignation, he said. Matt Walsh is sort of like a doctor here, where you go to the doctor and you're like, hey, doctor, I'm coughing all the time. why am I doing that? And Matt Walsh goes, because you're a coughing type person. You know, you're lazy. That's what you're doing. These kids are lazy. That's what that is. But yeah, if you're low on employees and you're pushing a bunch of additional tasks on people and you're like, you better do this or you lose your job. Yeah, people are going to question that. People are going to question that. And they're probably going to start questioning their entire relationship to work when you do that. Pretty easy, cause and effect right there. It's also, of course, funny to hear a guy like this talk about this because what he does is so far, we're talking like on a different planet from real work.
This has been the media brainwash and the simulation that America has been existing under, and it's actually causing us to go backwards as a society.
Oh, my God.
And in this particular circumstance, Michael Orr quite literally went backwards in his own mind, reflected on things that were beautiful in his life, and he turned those events into things that were villainous, right? He turned the Tuohys, a family that did something out of the goodness of their heart, into villains. Right. And I will tell you that he likely had an entire cast of characters around him that supported it.
Okay, this is an interesting story because it's been going around a lot. But Candy, she's really pissed off. She's pissed off at
perverts.
But she's also pissed off at this guy, Michael Orr. I don't know if you know who this I don't know if you know who this is, but he's the subject of the movie The Blind Side.
Tony here's your quarterback, all right? You protect his blind side. When you look at him, you think of me, how you have my back, how you have his. Okay? All right, Tony, go back.
It's based on a kind of true story. It's about Sandra Bullock, rescues this guy, this young black guy, and he becomes a professional football player or whatever. And this guy, Michael Orr, is like, hey, I didn't make any money from that movie. I didn't make any money from that movie, and also, they signed me into this conservatorship, and I didn't really know what that was. So Candy's really pissed off about it, and you just heard she's like, she goes into this whole thing about, this is because of Black Lives Matter, and, he got married, and people were telling him that this sucks, these people suck, these people who saved you suck. That's how she's spinning this. But there's a part of this story that I didn't know that really pokes a big hole in Candy's little spin on this, and I'll just read this. Orr's petition asks for surprisingly little. He wants the conservatorship dissolved. He wants an accounting for the monies he believes the Tuohys made from his name and story. If his allegations are true, this is the minimum he's owed. Okay, so check this out. This is sort of a rundown of the legal document that this guy Michael Orr filed. To date, the conservators, that's the, Sandra Bullock, that's the parents who took him in. Conservators have filed no accounting and should now be ordered to fully account for what Michael's name, image, likeness, assets, and use thereof by either Michael's or conservators' benefit throughout the conservatorship, as conservators and their children collectively received millions of dollars and Michael received nothing for his rights to a $330 million story that would not have existed without him. If you're a conservative, you probably have to say, he's a piece of turd. This beautiful white family took it. He's turning on them. But this lawsuit is very rational to say, hey, family, you did this thing called a conservativeship, which is giving financial control over to you guys. Just give us what you were supposed to do, which was an accounting of all the money you made from this. Just give us the accounting. It looks like they were supposed to do that, but they didn't do that. Give us the accounting. And if there's no money he's owed, give it to him. It seems like a pretty fair, seems pretty fair. I mean, who knows? Who knows? I guess it possibly could be bullshmitting, but this is going to be it's going to be really interesting to see where this lawsuit goes.
Okay, so let's talk about the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act.
Okay.
So it was really designed to go after the mafia, as I say. It was designed for criminal enterprises. Now, one of the reasons I think that Fani Willis is charging this, as opposed to, say, just the crime of conspiracy.
Right.
Conspiracy is an actual crime. You can charge somebody with conspiracy to commit a crime.
Oh, wow. This is an interesting little media story that's happened over the few days. This might take a little explaining. So put on your toilets. This guy, Ben Shapiro, he's kind of in a tough spot because his whole audience is Trump lunatics, basically. The only people who care about him are going more and more toward Trump lunacism. And Ben Shapiro doesn't really like Trump that much. He thought Ron DeSantis was going to be president. It's not going well for Ben Shapiro. But he's stuck in this weird spot where if you don't say like Trump is awesome and Trump, all the charges against him are a witch hunt, if you don't say that, your audience is going to get pissed off. So what had happened is of that about 6 days ago, the Young Turks, Majority Report, Kyle Kalinske, they all uploaded these videos where they kind of got Ben Shapiro, because Ben Shapiro's putting tweets like this. Whatever you think of the Trump indictments, one thing is for certain. The glass has now been broken over and over again. Political opponents can be targeted by legal enemies. Running for office now carries the legal risk of going to jail on all sides. So here he's got to tell the Trump people what they want to hear, because otherwise he's going to lose this. So he's got to make it sound like this is out of control, what they're doing. The problem that the Majority Report and the Young Turks and Kyle Kalinske, they found out that in 2014, Ben Shapiro went on Larry King, the Larry King show. He's like, "Yeah, we got Ben Shapiro." That's what Larry King sounds like.
Wait, today we got Ben Shapiro. Who is he? He's some kid. What is he, from a movie?
He goes on Larry King in 2014 and he's like, yeah, they should use the RICO Act against presidents. This is when Obama was president, of course. So here's a guy who has to act pissed off that they're going after Trump with RICO crap. Cut back to 2014, Ben Shapiro saying they should go after presidents with RICO crap. Uh-oh. I found some extra video here that Ben Shapiro uploaded that kind of, he's kind of leaning into this like, I can't believe that they're going after this guy with RICO crap.
And when we say that it's outrageous, it is. It also means that the glass has now been broken.
Oh.
So what we're about to see next is what we're about to see next is Republican DAs all over the country start to indict people like Joe Biden.
Oh, God.
For things like racketeering and corruption as vice president of the United States.
Oh.
Once the glass has been broken, it cannot be unbroken.
Oh.
The glass has now been broken. The predictable result of this is not that Donald Trump gets elected president. The predictable result of this is that lawfare now becomes the way that political opponents go after each other on the regular in the United States. And that's going to be a really, really dangerous thing.
A really, really dangerous thing.
This is amazing. I mean, this is just hilarious. Because this is like the day or the day before the Majority Report, Young Turks, Kyle Kalinske started uploading videos where they're like, hey, dude, you were saying we should go after Obama with RICO charges. And now you're saying this is really dangerous. This is really the glass is now broken. This clip is the day before, and I think this is even more damning. This is even more like this guy is just out of his mind than the tweet that they all show. He's like, man, this is a race to the bottom now, man. This is very dangerous. This is very dangerous what they're doing. Very, very dangerous. The thing that just in 2014, when it's the president that my followers don't like, I was saying we should do, this is very dangerous. I mean, I would really consider, even if I had a wife and kids like Ben Shapiro does, he has people to support with this, I would still consider maybe I should do something else at this point. I would say, well, what else can I do?
Stand up. I think I'll do stand up now. Hey, morons. I'm doing like Stavros Halkias crap. Hey, do you suck dicks?
That's how I laugh.
Let's see how he comes back. This is today, after all these media outlets are talking about him, making fun of him. Let's see how he tries to clean this up. Here we go.
There's a clip going around of me in 2014 talking about the book that I mentioned, The People versus Barack Obama.
Right.
Here's what I had to say.
Right, that all these media places played, and now you got to explain. Okay.
The time about the use of RICO to go after politicians.
Right.
I'm not sure we could indict Washington, but I think that certainly...
I'm sure something was done.
Washington was relatively clean, but if you look at George W. Bush, or if you looked at Bill Clinton, or if you looked at Ronald Reagan, sure. I mean, the answer would be that you could, and people should be wary. I mean, this is sort of the case that I'm making, is that we've become so comfortable with the executive branch of the government abusing its citizens and violating our rights and violating what they're structured to do under the law, that we've just become used to it. And if we start treating them as criminals, maybe they'll think twice before they act so criminally in the future.
Okay, notice what I say in that clip. In that clip, I say that you could theoretically apply these sorts of legal violations to any president, right? I'm talking about George W. Bush and Ronald Reagan, both Republicans.
Right.
And Bill Clinton, a Democrat, right? I'm talking about pretty much every president back in 2014, including Barack Obama.
Right.
And the point that I'm making is if you evenly apply the law, okay. But guess what's happened? No remote even application of the law.
So yeah, this is probably what I would do if I got busted in like a total fib. This is a fib. If I got busted bullshmitting, I'm like, oh, the guy that my audience doesn't like, Barack Obama, throw RICO at him. Oh, the guy that my audience loves, this is very dangerous. This is very dangerous. So he gets busted by these media outlets. They're making fun of him. How do we clean this up? Oh, actually, the problem I have is that this is not evenly applied. Now, of course, this doesn't make sense because he was trying to get them to do this to Barack Obama. And then, like, the same thing would have happened. But then, like, couldn't some Barack Obama fan be like, hey, they're going after Barack Obama with RICO. They've never done that. They're not doing that. This is an unfair application. Like, that doesn't make any sense. The other thing is, like, we have this guy in a video where he's like, the glass has now been broken. The glass has now been broken. Now it's lawfare. And they're just going to go after people. Well, isn't that what you wanted? Isn't that what you want? I mean, what? This poor guy, I think, is just trying to figure out how to do this. How do I hate Trump. I just want some Ron DeSantis, like some drone in there to cut corporate taxes. But I got to keep defending him because otherwise I'm going to lose subs. I mean, this does seem like lying to me. Like Ben Shapiro's like, I think this, and now I actually think this. Like, he's just kind of lying and bullshmitting to tell people who follow him what they want to hear. And the problem with lying, I mean, I learned this pretty young. The problem with lying is that it's stressful, you know? Like lying, you gotta like remember all these stories. You gotta keep all this stupid little list of dumb lies and stories that you tell. It's too stressful. It's too stressful. So Ben Shapiro, he's definitely doing wrong with his content, but I think he's definitely got to be suffering some of the consequences psychologically. But anyway, guys, there we go. That's our daily weirdo check of the day. Even if it's for one day, we still like to look at these people and go, what the hell, you know?
Yeah, what?
I do wonder if they're going to be able to keep up with Steven Crowder, though, because Steven Crowder's numbers are pretty much back up. And I don't know why, if you're like kind of losing your mind on the internet watching Daily Wire, why wouldn't you just watch Steven Crowder? I mean, just go full lunatic. But we love to see him. Guys, it's still early in the week, which is frankly pretty disgusting. We look at that week and we say, weird. We look at the 3 or 4 whatever days in front of us and we go, weird. And we look at that calendar and we go, hope you guys are having a good week. I did upload the replied comments. So go check that out. It's I think it's like almost like 3 hours. It's 3 hours of me going like that. So hope you get to listen to that. Love you so much. Bye-bye.